Jericho sucks ass at color grading, so I'm here to help him.
Thanks, Cam. Appreciate that.
I'm kidding. I don't know if he sucks ass.
We'll find out. So, just recently, I got back from a documentary shoot for Cal Poly's rodeo team. So, some really interesting footage. And I got to shoot it with my brand new Zcam that I bought from Cam Mackey. Now, I'm not extremely experienced with color grading this footage, but Cam is. So, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to grade some of my favorite shots tonight. And then later on, Cam is going to go over them with me, see what I could have done better, and then we will come together, regrade a few of those shots, and show you the results compared to what I did, and hopefully we can both get some good tips on color grading. Alright, I need to grade some footage. Alright guys, color grading takes a really long time. So this is kind of an in-depth process, and it's a long video. It shows us color grading, making mistakes, going back, fixing stuff. It's the true color grading process. And we still skipped stuff, just for time's sake. Be prepared. If you don't want this, you want the quick tips, go watch another video. So don't come at me for it. Here you go.
Okay, so Jericho had a bunch of clips. I went through and I selected the ones that I think would make most sense for this. So color grading these, were you going for consistency, as if they were all going to be one video, or were you kind of just doing individual ones?
Yeah, I was pulling individual. I was trying to see if I could do different looks. There's a few that are in here because I like them, and then there's a few that are in here because I hate them.
We'll start with those ones. But first, have you told them about Shot Deck?
No, I haven't brought that up yet.
So Shot Deck, before I would have to go on Google and try to find screenshots or just go buy a movie and pause it on a scene that makes sense for a color grade that would match the clip I'm trying to do. That helps a lot if you don't know what direction you want to take your shot into. A lot of times when people struggle with color grading, it's because they don't have any sense of direction on where the clip should go. So that's like the biggest tip. Just, what is it that they say? Great artist still or something like that.
Oh yeah, what is it?
I don't know. Whatever that quote is, apply it to everything you do creatively. And then after you learn how to get that look or that kind of shot or that whatever, you can then apply it to your own vision. So, what clip do you hate the most?
That one.
That one.
So this one I had some issues with because I was trying to bring in some color contrast. So like the shadows have some greens and blues. But then I had an issue when the dogs come into frame, it cuts some flare and then it completely changes the image. Dude, I'm relatively new to Davinci Resolve. I used it in like the version in like 2016, 2015, and then I haven't used it since. So most of this stuff is new to me.
Yeah, it's pretty like unlimited what you can do in here. But let's go through what you did. So we have our Zlog. We have our
different one,
desaturating the shadows.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely not do that.
Okay.
So you went in, you selected all the yellows.
Yeah, I wanted to bring them more toward orange.
How are you doing that in here? Oh, the tint. So yeah, that's like a cool trick you can use too. I'll show you another trick to that though.
Okay.
Here, I'm assuming you're lifting the shadows here?
Yeah, that's shadows.
So that's our shadow recovery. This is our highlight recovery. This is shadows, and you're trying to put color into the shadows?
Yeah.
Okay. This is Film Convert?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't mention I'm using Film Convert on pretty much all of these to convert the log to something more usable.
And then we have a slight curve adjustment. So we're going to delete all that. So first off, the most important thing is to just get a good image. If you start trying to like color grade and get a creative look out of it off the bat, that's when your footage starts falling apart. Okay, so Jericho likes using Film Convert, so we're going to use Film Convert. There's a dozen different ways to use Film Convert, but we're just going to do it this way. So let's just go in. Let's change this to Zcam. From there, we go back into our Zlog tool, and then we go and change our exposure. If you don't have the Zlog tool, how you would want to do this is just by color wheels. You could just bring down the exposure there. And it does the same thing. We could also go to our HDR wheels. And then we could go in and dial in where the highlights are. So I actually do less highlight recovery now because I just use the HDR wheels.
Ooh, is this...
This is the new Davinci 17.
I have not downloaded 17.
So you see, and then also the contrast wheel within the HDR tab works a lot more natural as well.
Interesting.
We can even go in and let's go to our tint now. Let's go adjust our tint. So again, right now, I'm just trying to get a neutral, safe image. All this you could split into different nodes if you want. I just do it all in one node though, just because I'm lazy. But you see, just from that.
Yeah.
And the whole point of this was just to dial in the image. Okay. So from here, now we can start doing a grade. So before you had all your grading nodes before Film Convert, you can do that. But the whole point of doing that is if you're doing like a conversion LUT, or if you're transforming the image, Film Convert, if you're putting it as a last thing, that's just for like an added stylistic thing.
Got it.
Otherwise, if you're using Film Convert any other way, it's supposed to be a conversion profile. So I just turned off the grain strength for now. I usually don't like grading with Film Convert grain on here.
Yeah.
But let's just go to this right here. Let's go back to our HDR wheels. Let's bring up our blacks, our darks. Let's see what the shadows doing. See shadows right there. Let's bring those down a little bit. Let's see. Now it's affecting just the black, so we can lift those. Now we'll go back in and dial it again. Now we'll bring it back down. So you see now we're getting like a super like high dynamic range image.
Yeah.
And this still looks normal.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they come into the shot, still looks good.
Still looks normal. Yeah.
So you mentioned you want to create color contrast.
Yeah.
Let's delete the Zlog tool. Let's create a new node. There we go. So to create color contrast, it's really simple. You just use your color wheels. And you see, now we have color contrast. I'm just dialing in our initial look. After we do this, we can go in and we can start tweaking all the hues and stuff. But if you tweak hues beforehand and then you go and grade on top of it, sometimes it could kind of fall apart.
Okay.
So I'm just trying to get the final look in, and then now I'm going to create a node before that. And now we go into our hues and we just use the hue versus hue tool.
Oh, okay.
And then we just change it from there.
Oh, that's...
And then there's
really
the matching look you're trying to get. There's another trick we can do. I guess we can do it on this one.
That's in way fewer nodes too.
Yeah, and it's way less processing intensive. Let's go back to your original grade.
Oh.
And then mine.
Much more HDR.
Yeah, and so just going back to mine though, you do see it's a little bit more flat, but again, we're grading for this.
For that part.
Right here. But you see we have plenty of detail in here to still push it. So let's go in and let's just dial in some contrast. We'll just make our own little curve here. After it goes away, it goes back. So I actually wouldn't grade. Sorry, I apologize. I wouldn't grade for that then. I thought the clip changed after that. But it's literally just a moment. When it's just a moment, like even if you watch big Hollywood films that were shot on film, they let them clip.
Okay.
If it's like a flash of a moment.
Got it.
But most of the clip is this. And so we go back into here and we could grade for that actually. You see our overall image is a little bit too bright, so I'm just going to lower our gamma down on here. So from there, does that look fine to you, or would you want to go more stylized with that shot?
I would do a little bit more contrasty, but
more contrasty.
But the color look is exactly what I was going for.
So another way, I'm assuming you're seeing all these bright spots.
Yeah.
And you want to bring that down. We could get fancy, and we could
do a window.
Yes.
It's
and now your
your
attention goes back onto the people a little bit more. And then if you wanted to, you just have to go in and keyframe it out, which is like super easy.
Yeah. Even the tracking would probably handle it pretty good.
Yeah, most likely. But I honestly wouldn't push it past this.
Okay.
That's the thing is like we see movies that are like heavily color graded.
Yeah.
We forget that those are also lit.
Yeah.
So you're able to push those color grades a lot more. But it also depends on your end use. This is going to be for a documentary, so I wouldn't go any past that. But even if you want to use it for like commercial use, I would go a little bit more stylized, but I still wouldn't go too far past that.
So I wasn't trying to like match the documentary at all. I was literally just trying to make something that looked good to my eye.
Yeah, and that's one thing too. Like some people might like this more because of how stylized it is.
Yeah.
This ends up coming off amateurish though.
Yeah. Dude, I didn't even notice that I was doing it that heavy.
Yeah.
Because I'm just on my own computer
yeah.
second guessing myself 10 times and it just turns into that.
Well, one of the issues is like if you don't have a really good reference shot, then you kind of just go off crazy with it. And it still happens with me. Like even this is really flat.
Yeah.
And if I had a reference shot, I'd probably be able to dial in the contrast a little bit more. Okay. We could just reset all this again. Okay, so he's created a node before that. I'm going to go in once again. I'm just going to go do our corrections. See already, it looks cleaner.
I'm going to have to download 17.
For some reason, Zcam always is a bit magenta. I don't know if you noticed that.
What if you use the Zcam thing? Because that's what I've been using.
The what?
The Zcam.
The Zlog thing?
Yeah, Zlog conversion.
You can, but I would have to do this anyways.
Oh, okay.
So at that point, it doesn't really make a big difference. So now we just have a good looking shot. Like our highlights are saved, our blacks aren't being crushed or anything like that.
Yeah.
Let's go look at the one you did. So you see just off the bat, you're kind of losing colors and just losing information.
Yeah. I think just now I realized as well, I probably don't like the reflection off of the red barn. And that was another reason the colors weren't going the way I wanted.
Well, you could easily combat that. So before Film Convert, create another node. We'll go into our hues. Let's go to hues versus saturation. Let's click on his skin. And then we'll just bring those down a little bit. And then we'll go back to hue versus hue. And then we'll just put a little bit more magenta or yellow into there. So you see now his skin tones look a lot more
that was
natural.
Crazy easy.
That's all you had to do. So from there, let's go on top of Film Convert, and then let's just go do our grade. Let's see. Let's warm this up. I usually never use this contrast tab up here, but we're going to use it on this one. Another issue is a lot of people try to recover a lot of the image.
Yeah.
Because right here, I could tell you're trying to bring down your highlights, but also expose for your skin.
Yeah.
It starts looking unnatural in HDR.
It does.
So you have to realize people know that this is midday.
Yeah.
There's hard highlights on the hat. His skin's going to be a little bit darker. Like it looks natural if someone watches it. No one's going to be like, oh, that's his skin's a little bit dark.
So in this case, it does look better to just leave it darker.
Mm-hmm. But you see, we'll go into our shadows here, crush our blacks a little bit, and then let's bring up our highlights. Oops. Meant to be in our color wheels. Bring our highlights up. Let's bring our gamma up a little bit. Shadows back down. So we're just putting in natural contrast, but immediately it just looks like solid.
The skin tone redness that I was trying to avoid.
Yeah, let's go back to that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Because it was way oversaturated. So I was trying to desaturate the whole image for some reason.
Yeah.
And then I was trying to still add that color contrast, which was giving me that crazy.
Yeah. You were trying to edit around the skin tone.
Yeah.
Which is fine usually, but that's if you have good skin tones off the bat.
Yeah.
If the skin tones are off, then you want to go in and correct the skin tones. But from there, let's just dial in a harder look now. Let's go very stylized with it. So that's like a super simple cinematic look. Our blues are a little bit too strong, so I'm just going to go and lower those down. So a lot of people do like that teal look.
Mm-hmm.
but they don't realize if you just desaturate the blues, it kind of does that. And then when we go and do the till look, we don't have to push it as hard till. So that's even too hard right there. This gives you a very amateur look a lot of the times, because what people don't realize is when you're watching those movies that have that look, the ones that are shot in film, the ones that we all like gravitate towards, film naturally picks up a lot of blue ambient colors. And so they're pushing nose till. They're not pushing till into the image.
Yeah, it's already there.
Yeah.
And a lot of times the set design is entirely made for that color.
Yeah. And so if you're trying to paint in till, that's when you start looking amateurish again. Let's just go in here real quick. This is another little trick. So how you did on the other previous image to desaturate the blacks, you can just go into your curves, go to the second to last tab, saturation for saturation, and then we're going to pull down the black. And then that will clean up all your blacks. And that's how you get a neutral black look.
Oh, wow.
There's more accurate ways to get to that, but that's the way I do.
Got it.
But now we see our skin is even more saturated just after we did everything. So I'm just going to go in and lower it.
Nice.
And there you go. That's your original. That's the new one.
Yeah, that's way better.
See? Owning the Zcam, it has so much dynamic range, and I would take advantage of it and pull all those highlights down. But now when I go back and look at the old footage, I realize like it's too HDR-ish almost. It's borderline HDR looking.
Yeah.
I still did my best to try to make it look natural, but I'm learning again by watching some of my favorite films. There's contrast there. So.
And I hate the HDR look. And
I do too.
I see myself going to it.
Yeah, and you don't realize you're doing it because as you're grading it, you're not paying, like we lose focus on what it's turning into.
Yeah.
We go blind.
Totally.
Yeah. Okay. So again, you thought, oh, I need to bring all this detail up. But this looks natural. And if we play it back, like it looks natural.
Ooh.
Looks like a movie. And let's go play your back.
Looks like a different, slightly worse movie.
Let's do it one more time.
Oh, yeah, that looks way better.
Yeah. Another thing is, too, when you start taking all your contrast out, you start losing the shot.
Yeah.
Like, we can't, like, those light flares aren't coming through as much.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all the ghosting and the haze and stuff, it doesn't stand out as much. Versus the one with contrast.
Oh, yeah.
You can see the haze in there.
Jeez, that's way more.
Mm-hmm. So again, this is something I've been learning myself, is to keep contrast in the shots. So like this, you want to try to keep the wood in there, but I would keep the wood out.
I didn't really want to. I think I just was getting lazy.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like, oh, the wood's in. Great.
Yeah.
You know?
Like I would probably go and lift the blacks up a little bit on this one, but let's go look at yours.
What about this one specifically? I feel like the colors were like way too crazy.
Which one?
The one you're on.
This one?
No.
Oh, this one?
I feel like it's super, super saturated.
The colors?
Yeah.
I mean, we could just go in and... Is that what you wanted?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just desaturated on mine too. I was like...
Yeah, I honestly like a lot of saturation.
Okay.
And I'm learning to take it easy on that. Because I do push it too much, and then it starts looking amateurish again.
Yeah.
Where... I don't know what's going on this one. Oh. Can't lift our blacks a little bit in here. An actual, like, probably big time movie grader would most likely drop the blacks in this clip. So you're saying this shot. What about this shot?
I was saying I liked it when I graded it.
What do you think I'm going to do?
I think it's going to look a lot better, and I think you're going to lose most of the background.
Yep. So all of this, again, when we get fancy cameras, we're like, oh, let's stretch it as far as we can. I even do tests comparing cameras, and that's what I do. But I always try to say, this isn't how I would grade it. This is just to show how much info you have in there to play with, if you need to play with it. So we can actually keep this grade on here real quick, and I would just fix it real quick. Let's go to our lift. And I would simply just do that. We are getting a lot of reds in here. We did have a red heat lamp, right?
Yeah, it was right there.
And I'm assuming you're trying to fix that?
I was trying to make it look a little bit less crazy.
Yeah, I would roll with it.
Well, because my the camera was also balanced for daylight, so I think it was pulling more warm tones than were actually there.
So again, the Zcam does do that magenta tint, which doesn't help, but we'll just go to our hue or a tint, pull it down a little bit, pull that down a little bit. Let's take grain off. I'm trying to remember how it was in real life. That's the hard part. So already right there, I like that more.
Yeah.
And then let's create a node after Film Convert. And then instead of me trying to fix the color balance, I'm going to just do color contrast. And then I'm actually going to dial in more of that red. Because that in real life, that light was very, very red.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of reds in here. This light was very warm in here too, but I'm going to take a creative license here. And I'm going to do a contrasting color in there. And then dial in more warmth in there. Let's lower the gamma even more. It's a night shot. We can make it look like night. Okay, from there, let's go handle these blacks. The flat blacks are making the shot look soft. And that's usually because there's not enough contrast in the scene. So I'm just going to let those go. I'm going to go back into my log wheels. I'm going to paint green back in there. And then let's lower our contrast real quick in the HDR. I'm going to create another one. And I'm going to see what it looks like if we go really stylized. Just get kind of like a film look. And then create another node. Let's go do our black tool trick, I mean. Just drop those. Oops. Do that. Let's just go all the way. So this shot was bad lighting in real life.
Oh yeah.
Like we had no way around it. So I'm gonna put that film grain back on it. Let's do. So you can see though how lifted our blacks are. So putting those black bars kind of helps you sometimes see stuff like that. So I'm just going to drop this until those are black. And then we have to go do some cleanup work. So again, this is what's important about having a camera with large dynamic range. You saw even with the red, it's noisy, but I'm able to play a lot more with this footage. Right here. So I would rock with that.
Yeah, that tiny bit of detail in the black helped a little bit.
Yep.
I'm looking at my old one.
Yeah. So,
even in the tiny window, it looks horrible.
So you see, Jericho wants to save the shot, but the shot is what it is.
It is.
So I'm rolling with it.
What it is.
And then we could play that back, and we're not getting like any weird stuff. Yeah, we could go in. We could save a little bit more of the shot if you wanted to.
I mean, you don't need to. And that's what I'm learning.
Yes.
Your
So you see,
about to die.
we lift it a little bit more. I'll tune off of this, but I'm going to go through a red shot real quick. All right, guys. So we're just going to go through this red shot. I just got to show y'all what having dynamic range.
He just can't stop.
Can't stop, won't stop.
Is this going to be on my video? Is that
Yeah,
what you're
this is for your video. This is convert more people to the red.
Yeah, just buy a red. It's easy. It's cheap.
So immediately, you can see, with minimal adjustments, there's way more color detail in this.
It looks okay. I'm joking. I'm just messing with Cam.
See, what's dope about the red is I can pretty much just go in and dial in a look now on top of this. All right, now let's go look at these two shots. That shot took me 2 minutes to grade.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the thing though. Whatever camera you guys have, you need to learn to work with it. You need to learn its weaknesses and its strong suits. Color is not any 10-bit log camera's strongest suit. I know people are gonna go crazy about that and light YouTube on fire. But once again, if you have RAW, do you not see the difference? But it also brings in ProRes RAW. If you shot this on ProRes RAW, would it make a difference? That's a whole different video.
That's a different video that I would literally need a Mac to do, but because Apple's kind of a bitch.
Jericho's wife just rolled her eyes in the background.
They could hear it.
But see, even this shot, the grade I did on it, I hate it.
Yeah, I hate it too.
Yeah.
I'm joking.
And then the RAW.
That looks like what it looked like.
In real life.
Yeah. So it's the difference between coming up with something that looks good with a lot of work, or just kind of
having amazing,
what it looks like.
Yeah. So I just went back and recolor graded this real quick. So sometimes if you have a really difficult shot, it's better just to strip everything off and not use any plugins.
Oh, just as simple as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you see, this looks a lot cleaner. So again, when you're shooting on a 10-bit thing, yeah, you have a lot of color info there. Sometimes there's not enough, and you gotta just keep it simple. And you see now this looks a lot closer.
Yeah.
To the red.
The red color is not coming through as much on the Zcam shot, but other than that, it's relatively similar.
You don't have any dirt on me. None.
So other than being a complete dick, Cam has been super helpful. I think I learned a lot from this.
Jericho owes me everything. Everything he knows. Right here. Okay. So let's just walk through real quick. What'd you learn from this?
So far, I think I've learned that I need to be trying to create the real image first and then creating something after that, just to make a cleaner image. And then to continue to look at reference images so that I'm not getting lost in the sauce. And it's something I've learned with photo editing a long time ago, but now that I'm getting into higher end video editing, I've got to relearn it basically all over again.
Yep. So that's the point of color correcting. Correct your image first. Get a clean looking image. Doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be a good foundation. So then when you go and build upon it, it's going to look good. Instead of what you originally had is it seemed like you were trying to color grade off the bat.
Yeah.
Also, don't be so worried about recovering the image so it looks like high dynamic range. Keep it natural. The high dynamic range of a sensor, the point of that is to keep it looking natural. So you don't have to do that. So you don't have to go and make it HDR in post. You could go and recover stuff, but you don't want to overdo it. Again, let it be natural. If it's a bright a midday sun kind of look, let some of the stuff peak a tiny bit. Don't bring it all down, because that's what it looks like in real life.
Yeah, I think that's really good input, because a lot of times these YouTube videos that focus on gear and focus on what you can do in the color grading and stuff
they end up sucking ass at color grading too. They go and post their images and stuff or their videos. I'm just like, who's watching this? Who's thinking this looks good? Don't look good. Y'all suck.
Exactly.
Y'all suck.
So it's more important to focus on the overall end image and the feel of it. And at the end of the day, you're telling stories, so does it work with that? But yeah, I need to.
And if you want cinematic images, shoot it cinematic.
Yeah.
Don't try to make it cinematic in post, because then it looks amateurish. So try harder on backlighting, creating atmosphere, using haze, doing actually cool motions, not just coffee B-roll and shots of your super cute dog.
All stuff we always do.
Yeah.
All right. Bye forever.
Trying to poke my dog, but I don't know where the lens is at.